Good morning. It is August 1st, and this is the OSU Turf Team Times. There has been a cool down. Everybody is probably breathing a big sigh of relief after what was a rough start to the week, and it looks like we've had a promising start as we get towards the end of the 100 days. Plenty of recovery is going to need to happen as far as damage to turf and processes that are going to start incorporating seed and getting lawns and areas back in shape after some of the summer stresses, which is still ongoing, of course. We don't want to let our guards down, but next week's temperature drop, I think, is going to be welcomed by absolutely everybody. Online today, we've got Dr. Dave Shetlar, we've got Dr. Xiaowei Wu, and we've got Todd Hicks. Dr. Wu, do you want to take it away with an insect update?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. It's very exciting to hear that we're going to have a temperature drop, and that's very nice. So I'm going to talk about a field visit I did yesterday, actually at the Turf Center, get that started. So I was contacted for a problem in an untreated plot. It's a research plot, and then went to take a look. And so you can see this damage was pretty bad. It was in one of the cultivar study site, and I did a tuck test. That was actually on Kentucky bluegrass. I did a tuck test and found that the stems can be easily broken, and then you can say that at the end there was a bit of fuzzies in the up corner picture. And also in the downside, you can even see some very fresh fadings. Look at this fading scar and the end. That appears to be build back damage. So it seems like the first generation was there, but because it's untreated plot, it was not treated in June when the larvae were first generation larvae were present, and then that built up the population. We have a very good year for insects and disease growth because the high humidity and good soil moisture conditions. So that's the part of the build back second generation novel development, which is ongoing. So if you have a similar situation, I would suggest you do a tuck test. Say, look at the ends of the pulled over grass. See if you can see the fading flashes. Can be old or new. The old flashes were from the first generation. The new ones can be from the second generation. So if you have this problem, I would say a curative application with anthracic diamides can be good options at this moment. And apparently the disease are there as well. Brown patch is still very active because recent high humidity and also high temperatures, although it cooled down slightly right now. So the disease combined with insect problems definitely make the situation worse. And I also found something very interesting. Trying to do a tuck test, pull over, and saw some root aphids. I said, well, then I probably ant colony is nearby, and took a look. Yes, and also ants around, and actually saw an ant that was carrying the aphids around. So these aphids are actually the pets of these ants. It's just like our cows, chickens. They keep these ants to produce honeydew for them to feed. So these aphids are the pets. But too bad I was not able to capture the motion of the ant was transporting the aphid. But that's very fun. So this journey is not a problem, not a significant problem. It's just usual field situation. And also another thing I want to mention is about our traps. It looks like the Japanese beetles and musk chafer adult flies are near the end in canvas. We can barely find Japanese beetles around this time, but in Worcester, it's because it's cooler, it's behind the Columbus. So we were still able to connect good numbers from Worcester last week. That's what I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wu. Uh, Todd Hicks, what kind of destruction have you come up with?
Actually, this has actually been kind of a mild week, so that's why I have the nice background today, Ed. Um, as far as diagnostics, new to me this week, plenty of people have talked about seeing anthracnose throughout the summer, or they thought they saw anthracnose, but I really didn't get many samples or any samples that I confirmed with anthracnose up till this week. I think with the weather change, it's opened a window again for anthracnose, especially since our turf is under so many extreme disease conditions, extreme weather condition. When anthracnose is hitting, it's coming in super hard. There's no buildup. It comes in and whacks things hard. So if I'm managing POA or I have a history of dealing with anthracnose, in the next 24 hours, I'd make sure I had something out there pretty strong to cover myself for this period. The only other thing that's new in the diagnostic lab is I've got a crap load of samples with Poatriv, rough soft bluegrass. I know that covers mostly just the homeowner, lawn care kind of guys, but something to take a look at. If all of a sudden you're getting patches that don't seem to fit the normal regime, the turf looks off. Identify the turf first. Remember to identify the host is the first step in proper diagnosis. So if you don't know how to do that, read up, do a little education, self-education on what Poatriv looks like, because with all the extreme weather we've been through and so forth, it's in the best of cases, it's going off, and it's going off really quickly. I think with this weather change, the other thing we're seeing is, especially on golf courses, and homeowners aren't going to be very far behind, is this is a great window for Dollar Spot to become super active. Last 24 hours, I've got lots of pictures of Dollar Spot. Beautiful looking stuff if you're a sick pathologist like me. But it's going to be rampant here the next 10 days or so. As Ed talked about, we can have a nice cool down here, but that's a great open window for Dollar Spot. But we jump right back to the 70-some degree nights and high 80s during the day. So Dollar Spot and Brown Patch and everything else is still going to be active for the rest of the month. So preventative things to watch out for during this cool down: don't take your foot off the gas. This is the time if you need to open up that soil profile to get some air down the roots, get some drainage going. That's going to do nothing but healthy things for the turf. Do it now. If you're on a phosphate program, I would switch to something that had a green dye in it. There's just too much research that shows that those colorants do so much for protecting the turf against quote unquote sunburn, or take the stress off the turf. And if I could take a little bit of stress, that's going to provide more health and more protection for the turf. Also, watch out on watering. These cooler days will probably have breezes associated with them, and it doesn't take long. You guys all know this, but we all forget it, that it dries out super quick, super fast on days like this. So be careful. Don't take your foot off the gas. This is a great time to do some things that you worry about stressing the turf at doing when it's hitting that 90-degree mark. So go ahead and take care of those things now and prepare, because we are just starting August, and we've got a ways to go yet, folks. So that's all I got for now. Not too much doom and gloom.
Thanks, Todd. Everybody's delighted to hear that. One thing to keep in mind with day length decreasing as we drop down from the June frequency, that we start to see a decrease in pressure. Dr. Shetlar, take it away.
Uh, I wanted to echo Dr. Wu's comment about the second generation of bill bugs. I'm seeing that activity here in my particular neighborhood. We had a good year for the bill bugs. We've had these sort of periodic rains that keep things going, and the bill bugs love it. Remember, the bill bug females love to lay their eggs in fresh stems that come out of the crowns of those grasses. I kind of want to take a different tactic. I'm kind of getting that sense that we may have a decent fall for seeding. We're getting cool weather right now. If we continue to get these periodic rains to help young seedlings along, it'd be a great time. And I'd really encourage people, especially for lawns, to consider getting some, a 3 or 4 way blend of turf type tall fescues. That will eliminate the bill bug problem. That will eliminate any chinch bug problems. The only thing it won't eliminate is the white grubs. The white grubs, the endophytic toxins don't go down to the root system, so the white grubs can still be there. But at least it'll get rid of several of these, what I consider to be more nuisance kind of things that occur on the upper part of the plant from the bug world. Now, Todd will probably tell you, well, you're going to watch out for brown patch if that happens. But I found by using these blends, that seems to kind of mediate that, because the seed selections of these, there'll be some highly susceptible ones to brown patch and less susceptible ones. So you kind of get a funky brown patch disease in these blends of the tall fescue. But it's not as bad as if you just planted a single cultivar that can get wiped out. The other thing is that with all the dieback of some of the turf from both diseases and insects, we're going to start getting some of those secondary nuisance things coming in. Fungus gnat larvae will eat the dead turf that's there. We'll get crane fly larvae, the native crane fly, not the European crane fly larvae that come in and eat those. And I'm already getting, I've got a picture just the other day of somebody that had separated the turf that was dead, and there was a bunch of fungus gnat larvae in that particular area dining away. They weren't the cause of the dead turf, but it is an indication that something else had happened, and you're probably going to need a reseeding from that later on. In the caterpillar world, I know Ed's always worried for me talking about this because I might jinx us, but the reality is I think over the last 10 days, I've only received 2 fall webworms or fall armyworms in my light trap. So while they're having pretty good populations down south, we haven't had the wind currents that are bringing them up here to the north. Same thing with my black cutworm. I've had very low numbers really of the black cutworms in my light trap. So I'm not overly concerned with any of those bigger caterpillars that can cause some damage to our turfgrass. Lots of sod webworms in the light trap. But again, in high cut turf, sod webworms are never a problem. Sod webworms are only a problem on the shortcut turf of golf course greens and tees, where they make these little marks in there, and then the birds come in and pull them out. And it's actually the bird pecking that's more of a problem than the caterpillar feeding on those surfaces. But again, most golf course superintendents have used one of the diamides on those surfaces, and that should protect them from these summer generations of sod webworms. That's all I've got, Ed.
But Dave, I do have a question actually, now that you brought something up. So late last week, I noticed some nosing going on in the backyard. And then following on from that, I let the dog out on Saturday evening and the dog got skunked. For the general homeowners, is that something to kind of keep an eye on, that, hey, maybe you do have some insect activity ongoing and it's time to maybe put down some treatment?
Yeah. I think if you have not put down a grub treatment, as Dr. Wu's light trap data indicated, we've got a great populations of Japanese beetle and masked Schaefers out there. They are literally a month later than normal. And I'm afraid that those people that put down early grub treatments, the efficacy of the residues of those may be dropping down. So they might want to consider that. Again, when it comes to grubs, if you've had a history of white grubs, you're at high risk of having repeating that again. If you've not had a history of white grubs, I'm more worried about the bill bugs and the other things rather than white grubs. The final thing is, remember that with these rainfall events, those are bringing up earthworms. And both skunks and raccoons will forage for earthworms in our turf grass, and they'll make those little cone-shaped Mark's trying to pull out one of the night crawlers in that. So it may not be that you've got white grubs, but you may have a good earthworm population that they're going after.
Oh, I'm going with the diagnostics that if your dog is getting skunked, you've got problems with grubs. And then, okay, we have 2 field days coming up next week. So the Ohio Turfgrass Foundation one is on Tuesday. Wednesday is the Ohio Lawn Care Association field day, which is actually sold out. So it's going to be a busy couple of weeks for us all here. We will see you next week. And if there's any questions, don't be afraid to reach out. We are going to respond. With that, we'll wrap it up and we'll talk to you all next week. Thank you, folks.